I think the only Marvel movie that deserves to be on the final list is the first Iron Man.
The first Iron Man.
But I'm very comfortable arguing any Marvel to stay off.
You
of the
disagree,
list.
I know.
What came before the first Iron Man?
But I disagree with you.
What superhero
we're not
film
talking about,
was the best?
When we say Marvel, we're talking about
Spider-Man.
MCU specifically, Joshua.
MCU.
We're talking about MCU specifically, not.
I believe
Spider-Man's part of the MCU.
No, not
the Tobey Maguire.
Not yet, ladies and gentlemen. Not yet.
If you want to,
Hello and welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
This is a new
everybody.
podcast. It might have been like demon possessed. It was a fairly large, mutated-looking chicken. We were born in the north, but we grew up in the south.
We learned all of our words from Pennsylvania.
And people are, that's toboggan. That little toboggan
Not
there.
a toboggan. Toboggan is a sled. Okay.
0.3 inches, baby.
Dude, I can't take it.
Welcome back to the Wacky Wonderful Wise Works podcast. We're so glad to see you, all you guys, gals, geeks, and goofballs.
Nailed it.
And crazy crack dads.
And the crazy crack dads, but that doesn't have a G on it, so it doesn't go in the opening.
That's right. Hey, everybody.
We'll make up one that we can put the crack dads in there.
Yeah.
Crazy crack.
Crazy crack.
Are you
Crazy crackers.
Hello and welcome to the Wiseworks podcast. I am your guest, Seth.
Seth is our
I'm
guest.
here to bring a better dynamic. Let's go.
Better dynamic.
Or
well,
a
an
different
elevated
dynamic, I should say.
Elevated.
You're the new host, right?
Yes, I'm the new host.
We got Seth here. He lives in Virginia Beach now.
sleeping on our couch?
He doesn't have a home yet, so.
Well, I'm gonna upgrade my bed to a queen.
All right, and you guys are gonna share.
And yeah.
Very nice.
No divider.
No
divider.
Gosh, no divider.
Not even a blanket.
No. I can get rid of my body pillow now.
All right, there you go. Frickin'. So we got Seth here. He's just up visiting for the weekend. We're gonna have a good old time, grand old time. Joshua turned what age? 26 yesterday.
I'm getting old.
You did not turn 26 yesterday. You turned 24 yesterday.
Calling me out.
I will be 26 later this year. But, so, Seth, what was the ride like? How's things going in your life since we talked to you last?
The ride was fine. It was, going through Charlotte is always, pretty rough, especially on a Friday like that. The rest of the way was really, really clear until I got onto 64. But once I got there with all the construction and everything, it was really slammed. But, the rest of the road was pretty open. It was a pretty easy drive. It just,
Speaking like a true Southern driver, like everybody knows what you're talking about when you say 64.
Well, that's the name of the road. They have names for a reason. I'm not going to say the road that had the big white house on it or something.
Or
shout out if you
baseball.
The baseball.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The
Yes.
baseball.
So what has been something that you've been watching? You guys have been watching recently? Anything fun?
Yeah, that was a good show.
Yep. Yes, it was.
All sorts of stuff.
Did you finish Naruto?
I did finish Naruto.
Okay. How was that? You like the
It
ending?
ended very well because there's one character named Sasuke.
Sasuke, good old Sasuke.
They say his name a bunch in the show, but they do that with every character. Who's just annoying throughout the show. I'm like, why?
Sasuke was a good guy.
He's like this emo character who's out for his own. He wants to sort of do a similar thing to the main character, but in his own way, and it's not the good way, right? So throughout the show, he's just like being a little snothead, and at the very end, he finally sees the error of his ways, right?
At the very end?
At the very end, and you're like, oh, thank goodness.
That's
Finally.
interesting. What other characters are there in movies that you just can't stand, and then they try to turn around at the
Once
end?
he turned good, I liked him.
It's kind of like Dante Bosco's character in that show Avatar.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Zuko.
Zuko.
Yeah, but I liked him even when he was bad.
He was fantastic.
Because he
character.
had to capture the Avatar,
Yes.
reclaim his honor.
Honor!
Fantastic. It'd be awesome if everybody here had seen the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could
Yeah,
buy
it would be great.
What
Yeah.
the heck, man?
Yeah.
Get
it's
on
such
it.
a
Why didn't
good
we watch
subject.
any of that last night? We could have watched that last
Yeah.
night.
Because there's too many things I'm trying to
That's
watch.
true.
Trying
Too
to
many
get through
things.
Attack on Titan, trying to get to Final Space, trying to get.
Well, I've seen his Final Space. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to not catch up. I'm trying to rewatch so that I can so I can be fresh coming into season 3. You know, I'm a big Olin Rogers fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing his hat right now.
Yeah.
People
You
don't
never
know.
take
You
that hat
took
off.
that from him, like stole it.
I snatched it off his head. Like, give me that.
You just ran up into his like business, and you're like,
He's taller than
you're
people
like-
realize. It was a struggle.
and then just
Just
ran.
ran away.
It's
But
like Josh when he wakes up.
Josh.
I didn't do that last night.
You didn't. I was very, very surprised. 'cause
No,
you were
Joshua
like,
did kind of do that. Though.
"Huh?"
No, he kind of did it last night because
A
he
little
fell
bit.
asleep when we were watching YouTube.
Mhm.
You fell asleep and you were like, huh? Like it was a little one.
It was subtle.
It was
subtle, but it was there.
It was quieter.
The fear was there.
The fear was there. And then you're like, why are we watching YouTube
Yeah.
still?
Have you guys been watching it for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Seth, what do you think about the whole world of? I hate to bring this up again
Crypto?
because we talk about stocks and crypto and it's not even within our niche. I'm just curious, what are you thinking about all this? Because we keep bringing it up by accident. Well, Joshua keeps bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just bring it up.
Yeah, I say in the world of technology, and you're like stonks.
What exactly? You know, like cryptos or like just stocks in general? What do I think about it?
Yeah, like this whole world of money and what people are on ever since COVID started. Everyone wants to be like, oh, we're gonna make money with stocks. What do you think about that?
I mean, it definitely had like a boost right when the virus came in. That was when a lot of people hopped on board because the stock market just fell
And that
and that stimmy check. But buy low, sell high kind of deal. I'm not
Good
really.
grocery store.
Yeah.
I like buy low.
Yeah, buy low.
We don't have it up in here in Virginia.
Sell high is a harder one to find.
Yeah, it's a hard one to find.
But
No, I
buy
don't.
below.
I'm not really a short-term trader. Like I don't really play with the stock market to like, make a quick buck and stuff like that. Doing it,
But you
I
got
don't
dollars
care
in
too
it.
much for it. Yeah, I have money in it, but I'm more of a long-time
Everybody should
guy.
have
Like
money in
like
it.
I dump a little bit of money in, and then 5 years from the road, I'll see kind of where it's at. I'm thinking of it more of like a, for like maybe one day my retirement. Like this is kind of like a retirement fund for me, kind of deal. That's kind of how I think about it.
I have invested in long haul truckers.
Dude, long haul truckles. Did you guys ever see that one podcast? I think it was on Joe Rogan, where they talked about the technology of self-driving cars and truckers and stuff.
I did.
I've watched
not
some
a very-
videos about it.
It's not a very bright future.
Not currently. There is there's this one account on YouTube I follow that talks about all kinds of car stuff, and they had done a whole video essay on like the self-driving or not self-driving, but it's the all electric, big semi trucks, and they talked about how it fell through really bad for GM and everything, and it's like, so apparently when they showcased them at the auto show, like where they revealed them and everything, they said it was a fully functioning all electric semi truck that could hook up and pull a load or whatever, but it wasn't. They lied. They said later on people were finding like there were like cords run up through the platform plugged into the truck to
my
like make all the
gosh.
stuff come on and everything. It was like a completely failed prototype, but they were showcasing it as like a fully functioning vehicle.
I had a
So,
dream like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us your dream.
I
Prototype?
had a dream where I was on. I was driving in like, I don't know, some flat country area, right? No trees or anything, and I don't know who I was or what I was doing, but I was running from the law, and I'm in my future car, and I'm going boom, just down the road, and all of a sudden I see in my mirrors this, it's a robot truck. Right, it's electric,
Like
it's,
a Decepticon.
No, it was just a truck. It didn't transform.
Okay.
But it drove up past me, and it had a trailer, but the trailer was just like it came up like this and went like this, and it was just open underneath. And then the truck pulled in front of me, and the trailer was over top of my car, and these two like laser beams went poof over on the sides of my car, so I couldn't drive out. And I'm like, I'm done.
You're done.
They got me. It was so easy.
Really?
It's like that opening scene in Fast and Furious, the Fast and the Furious, the first one, where they drive the Honda Civic up under the semi trailer.
Yeah.
Did you know they actually, because the normal regulated height for a box trailer like that, they couldn't fit that car up under it. They had to like modify that trailer to make it extra tall so that they could do that stunt. But the stunt was real. They actually had a stunt driver like drive, probably in a more protected and enclosed environment, so it's not like somebody would actually got run over. But the stunt was real. But they did have to modify that. Yeah, they had to modify the trailer to be higher so that they could fit an actual Honda Civic under it. Though.
That's pretty cool.
One of my favorite things about movie stunts is just how people keep pushing the envelope. Yeah. Right? What can we do that is real? Right?
But who's the only ones doing that in Hollywood right now? I mean, we just
action
watched
movies.
We just watched Justice League, which was terrible. Like
they
all of it was
They
animated.
were not pushing an envelope.
No.
They definitely.
But that's what I'm saying. Who is pushing the envelope? In my opinion, it's like Tom Cruise. That's it.
It's action movies.
Yeah.
It's boring action movies.
They push the envelope a little bit, with the older ones, Die Hard, Terminator, those, Alien, friggin'.
Yeah, well, they were trying. They were trying to make the stunts needed to look real.
Yeah. But we stopped at some point.
I don't know. Fast and Furious has always done crazy stunts.
Yeah.
The
longer the series got,
that's what I'm saying. Tom Cruise, I think, is the only one really doing it.
The longer the Fast and Furious series got, it seems like the more like fake the stunts are. I know some of them are still real. Like I know in the sixth one, I think where Paul Walker drives the blue Ford Escort. I think it's the sixth one. I know like that whole highway scene and all that was like really real because that was like an old shut down highway that they actually like used for that whole chase scene. But yeah, but
people are looking for that realism though in the movies.
Yeah, they are. Do you think we got it with Justice League? Zack Snyder's cut?
But I mean realism like even after the fact. I mean when people watch John Wick, right?
Yeah.
And they see John Wick running around and shooting people, right? His technique is flawless because Keanu Reeves does what is it called, the 3-gun challenges, where he goes from pistol to shotgun, to AR or whatever he's using. He actually does the challenges. He does the runs and in real life. Yeah. There's video stuff but he makes it looks real because he really does it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like like with the Bourne movies and stuff. Like people like that kind of close up, shaky cam.
Yeah.
Like real mixed martial art kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People like that kind of stuff because it's more like, I guess, realistic of what would happen.
What intrigued me about John Wick when I first watched it was I had been on a serious martial arts movie thing at the time. So I watched it and I was like, all the moves are very obviously choreographed, right? But for a trained master killer, every move is calculated.
Yeah.
And I know Keanu Reeves is doing all these moves.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely is. He definitely is, especially like with the gunshots and everything, which is primarily most of the action.
But the martial
martial
arts I'm watching and I'm like, it's choreographed. I can tell, but it's clean.
Yeah,
it is pretty clean looking. I mean, compared to when you're watching, Donnie Yen fight some dude and they're doing jujitsu and it's stuff where they're rolling around on the ground and beating each other's face in, and it doesn't look choreographed. It just looks like a brawl, but it is choreographed.
Do you think, as far as choreography goes, what do you think about the modern filmmaking? Does it hold up? Like, do you think it's better, or do you think it's like worse cinema than when they had like Jackie Chan on the scene and Bruce Lee?
as far as martial arts go, people are getting better.
You think?
Definitely.
And I think John Wick especially inspired movies to want to make their martial arts scenes look, punchy and not like martial artsy. Right? They want it to look more like a brawl or something.
Yeah.
Well, a lot more modern movies are leaning much more heavily on the whole mixed martial arts thing. Whereas, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, that was all like kung fu that they did. It was one martial art. And like with, Jason Bourne, John Wick, and these other, action, rock and saga movies. Hand-to-hand stuff is all like more mixed martial arts. It incorporates a lot of different things. So it's not, like with kung fu, it's a lot less of like the standard distance, relying heavily on kicks and stuff. And it's a lot more, there's that, but there's also some close-up stuff, and some ground, jiu-jitsu kind of stuff, all that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bruce Lee was like modified Wing Chun, right? Because he learned from Ip Man, right? And he just sort of, his style developed and changed. His philosophy was almost the counter, right? The counter punch came from Bruce Lee, right? When somebody throws a punch and he counters and punches back, you have that all throughout movies nowadays, and it came from Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, Jackie Chan was the Drunken Master, right? Did you ever watch the original Drunken Master movies?
I think I watched that.
Well, he would
before,
like drink a bunch,
No.
and his face would get really red, and he'd just be like,
Yeah. I saw him do that in, what's that one movie? Like the monkey
Forbidden Kingdom?
The Forbidden Kingdom.
Yeah.
I saw him do that in that movie. But
That's what you're thinking of.
No, but I think we watched Drunken Master because I watched Forbidden Kingdom multiple times.
yeah.
But I think we watched Drunken Master because Tim was like, when he was younger, he was like, this is so fascinating. He's drunk, but he's fighting.
Yeah.
Well, crap, I was thinking about something.
I want to talk about cool fight scenes. Something I've really appreciated recently is how the Mandalorian kind of
That's what I was actually going to
approaches
ask.
it.
I was going to go into it,
Star Wars?
animation versus like the artificial wall and stuff.
I really like how they approach it in the Mandalorian because John Wick, Jason Bourne, that is really cool stuff. It is good for those movies, but it's refreshing in the Mandalorian to see a guy that's not as clean. Like you can tell the dude has had hand-to-hand combat training, but he's not flawless. He still gets hit upside the head.
Yeah.
It's kind of sloppy sometimes.
It's more like
and
a
there's some
Western
struggle.
brawl, right?
Yeah.
And he's using
Yeah.
his gadgets,
It's really I really appreciate the kind of freshness they brought to the table with like how they do that.
Okay, so, but also now reverting back to the animation, because we've talked about how they do the Mandalorian scene, and most of it is real effects with artificial landscapes, artificial environment. Do you think that might be better than just trying to animate on a green screen?
100%. 100%. That's one thing that was so revolutionary about the original trilogy was all the scale models, the matte paintings, all that stuff. It gave Star Wars a very special attitude about itself. And the prequels, even though I still like the prequels, but that's one of the huge problems a lot of people have with them is that
They're so hokey.
Lucas went so crazy with the CGI on it.
There's like a few scenes where they're in a real place. There's like on what's Padme's homeworld? Naboo.
Yeah.
There's a couple scenes where they're on Naboo and like you see the real buildings, right? You see real places and you're like, okay,
Like real
I don't
set
like
pieces
sand.
and stuff.
like real places in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yeah.
like these big old buildings in Italy that they were walking through and it looked real. And then of course you go to a space scene and it's just all
Yeah, well, I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes for the prequels, a lot of everything they show is in front of a blue screen. Like
Yeah.
in every single behind the scenes thing, just like almost everything is in front of a blue screen. And the movies were good, but it's like it was just a little overkill. It's like the fans just wanted something a little bit more realistic so they could have just that little bit closer to home feeling, you know?
I agree with that.
So do you think all movies will be like that in the future?
I think
Probably.
I think movies and TV shows will evolve a healthy mix.
Right.
This is my theory.
Okay, go for it.
Oh boy. Josh has a theory.
Josh predicts.
Joshua predicts.
Joshua
This week on
predicts.
Joshua predicts.
Okay, go back to our virtual reality world.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this last episode or the
Like Ready
episode-
Player One.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's going to be a mix between that and what they are creating for Mandalorian right now. We're going to create this virtual reality world so that essentially they are just going into this world and making movies in this world, recording it, and it's going to be a movie.
Well, the problem with that is we don't have the technology yet.
We do. We do.
We don't.
We do.
We
No.
learned this from the Justice League. We do not have the technology to perfectly render an exact replica of our world.
Hold on.
The reason, wait,
Okay,
wait.
they do in
for
The
it.
Mandalorian.
But the reason Ready Player One works,
Yeah.
right? Even though more than half the movie is CG,
It's about 70% of the movie.
it's in a video game.
Or the show.
Yeah.
So you're
So it
like,
works.
okay,
Or the
it's
movie?
a video
Oh.
game. It doesn't.
The
it
immersion,
looks great.
it immerses you a little better with the movie because
Yeah.
like you already have the assumption, okay, it's a video game. Video
Whereas-
games aren't real.
Whereas the Schneider cut looks similar, right? Or Justice League in general looks similar, right? Even though Ready Player One's animation is much better. It's still animation, but in no way do they imply that this is like a fake world. They're saying this is the real world. We can't take the CG we have now and say this is a real world, right?
Right.
You have to have some sort of set, right?
We
Or
did that with
something.
Avatar, though.
we did. I think we have the technology.
And the
I
virtual
think he
reality
did it
thing is...
not great with Justice League, but they do it.
I
with
don't think
Avatar.
it's going to be exactly the way Josh was saying. But we did kind of already see that with Surf's Up.
Yeah, we did see
We
that.
did
with
see that. Do you
Surf's
know how
Up.
they did Surf's Up?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Surf's Up, they built a 3D virtual reality set scene for every scene in Surf's Up. You
Have
saw
you seen
Surf's Up,
Surf's
right?
Up?
Yeah, I've seen it with Shia LaBeouf and
They had a camera
Jeff
guy
Bridges.
Yeah.
with the
Zoe
goggles
Deschanel.
and a camera that could control where the camera's being because they wanted that sort of documentary man on gorilla style like
Feel.
like a feel like you're watching The Bachelor, you're watching some kind of sports show and they're trying to capture these things. So they had the scene played out with the characters and animated, but the actual video of what the camera's doing is all what the actual camera guy within this VR world, which is technically just a big building, but he's in the world filming it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we did kind of do something,
But it's
and that
also,
was years ago.
But it's also a cartoon.
Yeah.
That's true. But if we could do it with a cartoon, and we see something like Avatar, we see something like, Mandalorian,
Mm-hmm.
then why can't we do it with real world stuff and just put a little bit more work into it?
Avatar works because the things you're seeing are also animated. The characters you're seeing are in a suit and are going to be animated within the world. So even if they look a little less than real, since they're in that world, which also looks a little less than real, it works, right? But when we try to replicate our world, right, into one of these things and make it look real, and then put humans in it, you're gonna be like,
I think we should just agree.
I'm optimistic about the future, though.
I don't like saying we're going to agree to disagree because I don't like that.
We're
I
just
think
here
we
to
should
disagree,
just,
I
folks.
don't like that.
Well, I know, I because I'm going to disagree.
Well, we
But-
don't have the we don't have it now, obviously, because we're not seeing it unless somebody comes out with something new. But in the future, we're definitely getting close.
I'm a little skeptical because they still haven't figured out how to animate a body that doesn't look like it's rubber.
Yeah.
They still haven't gotten that good at that. You
I
know?
mean, the only proof we have is Avatar.
Have they come out with number 2 and number 3 yet? Number 4?
No,
No,
it's a negative.
they could be on the verge of technology that they're not like.
I think conclusion,
They're
what
waiting.
Joshua predicts
All right.
is
Joshua predicts.
Wyatt is wrong and Joshua's the smartest person on.
I
in
am
the
not
world.
wrong. I am right in
I am the
saying that we
smartest
don't
man on
have
Earth.
the
I'm
technology
the smartest man on earth
right now.
So you should just trust my judgment.
Do you
and-
I
think
agree
we've
with your
gotten-
prediction,
Yeah.
but it is
Okay.
not a present diction.
Thank you for chiming into
I do have
today's
an-
episode.
Yeah. Do you think that at this point in humanity, all technology is possible? We're just trying to crack the code.
Pretty much.
Like we already know that code and the way we run technology, ones and zeros, things of that nature, can truly do anything left up to the imagination.
Pretty much. I think so.
What about build a soul?
No.
Yeah, well that's
Well, this is actually interesting. When I was in my second year at Fruitland, we got into this discussion during computer science. I don't know how we got on this discussion, how this had anything to do with computers, but my teacher was talking about. He said,
He's wrong.
yeah, he probably is. He was talking about. He said, we replace so many things in the body artificially now.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, we give people fake hearts and stems, and he's like, there's so much stuff we can replace now and make artificially. He's like, a brain is just like a computer. He was like, essentially, they're already toying with technology of how to download somebody's whole, like, consciousness or whatever into a kind of computer program. He was like, I guess what I'm saying is, what is the limitation to how much we can replace in a body before it's no longer
A human.
a conscious person? He was like, at what point does the soul actually leave?
Can we really replace hearts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have heart technology?
Yes.
What?
I did not know that.
Do you mind saying what school, or do you want to leave it out?
He already
What
said
school?
Fruitland.
Yeah.
Oh, Fruitland.
Yeah.
Fruitland.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's where
Yeah,
I
then he's
went for the
definitely
first
wrong.
2 years
I'm kidding,
of school
I'm
was
kidding.
Fruitland Baptist Bible College in Hendersonville.
Baptist, for all
Here-
you people who are
Here's,
different
Here's
denominations.
the thing for me is procedural generation, right? The dust on a butterfly's leaves or leaves on a butterfly's wings is so unique and tiny, and there's millions of it, and they all look different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we actually generate that with computers? I mean, I've seen some impressive things, right, with the animation and stuff. I mean, just outstanding. I mean, we were just watching on the Love, Death, and Robots show on Netflix.
Mhm.
Outstanding.
Outstanding.
Right?
And it's all indies.
Yeah.
Indie groups.
Right? I mean, just the way dust looks, on clothes. And the clothes have fibers, right? Even nowadays, they animate Mario with, like, little mustache hair and pores. Why does he have pores? I don't like it, right?
It's just a simple little texture overlay.
I think some of the best animation I've seen that I can recall in terms of like trying to animate somebody that's human that actually was realistic, was the Assassin's Creed Revelations trailer for
You
that
think that's
game.
the best?
Yeah. It was
I
good.
think that's the best I've seen.
It was good.
They literally, I mean, it was
flirting with like Avatar.
yeah.
It was
It was in the small details, and people were like, "That's that's not animation. They got actors to do that." I'm like, "No, they animated all of this," and it was in such small detail. Like, I mean, there's even a shot where it's kind of showing you like the villain's face or whatever, and as it's panning around, you can see each individual hair on his face, like from where he just shaved that morning, and it's already growing back. You can see how the light casts above each little wrinkle in his face. I mean, it's stuff like that. Such detail. It's like you would think it was a real person,
And that's even better than freaking Justice League.
Yeah.
Because they would have what's his face? The cyborg guy. What's his name?
Cyborg Victor?
No, I guess they just call him Cyborg.
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 Yeah.
Well, Cyborg, most of his scenes are literally the face that's supposed to be real is animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like-
So he entirely, he's entirely animated.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd see scenes where Batman is completely animated, like jumping off something, right? And then you'd see another scene where he's human, right? But that was never the case with Cyborg. But then it would go from Cyborg, and you would see Steppenwolf, who looks so cool.
I think
We looked at the. Go ahead, Joshua. Sorry.
I think our problem is
Our problem.
your problem.
My problem.
You guys' problem. I'm not involved in this because I've been not bringing it up. Is you're looking exclusively as Justice League. I think we should just
No.
take Justice League out of the picture.
No, we're not, because
No,
it's
Justice League is a hot topic.
No, it's too big.
But it's one film, and we don't know what happened behind the scenes with the animators, between the animators and the director and their vision and how they saw the movie.
Here.
I think that could involve.
Hold on.
I'll tell you what, they
let me
spent
add something.
more money on the scene with Jason Momoa in the water looking sexy than they did on Cyborg's entire character.
Let me break this down for you guys.
That's what I
Nowadays, it came out in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? We had Avatar in 2009.
Yeah.
Right? Every CG everything nowadays should look great.
Immaculate.
Why is it that nobody's complaining about Marvel stuff?
Right.
Marvel uses a crap ton of CG, right? Sometimes there are bad moments and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it is not every
Captain
scene.
Marvel was that way.
Yeah,
I mean, like
bad
Spider-Man Spider-Man for the most part throughout the MCU was like entirely CG, and
it looks.
I mean, you didn't really notice it.
All the
It looks
fighting
good.
scenes.
Yeah,
It looks good.
it looks good. Like
Iron Man
yeah.
looks good.
Yeah.
Hulk looks good. At no point, right, when you look at the Vision, are you like, yeah, he definitely looks like a robot.
The Vision? Is that what
Yeah.
he's... I
The
thought it was
Vision.
Vision.
It's
The
Vision or the Vision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's you don't look at him and think, yeah, he's definitely animated like Cyborg, right? So that's the point. And
In that last episode of WandaVision, it was Double Vision.
yeah.
What's that? Do you know the character's name? What's the actor?
Paul Bettany?
Paul Bettany.
Paul. I guess.
for who?
Like
Bettany.
Vision.
For Paul
Okay,
Bettany.
Paul Bettany. I gotta give him props. He's an old dude.
He's
He's
in his
fit,
50s,
but he's not like huge like the other superheroes.
Yeah.
Do you think
He's, like,
Paul
decent
Bettany,
size.
when he first came on to do the voice of Jarvis, do you think he knew that like 10 years down the road he'd be going to a makeup
Probably.
trailer in the
Yes.
morning?
Probably.
I don't know.
It's like, because people have been joking about that. They're like, I bet Paul Bettany was like, oh yeah, a little voice acting role, like this will be easy, a good bit of money. And it's like 10 years later, he's showing up to the makeup trailer. And it's
I
been
don't
hours.
think so.
I
don't
think he
so.
knew. I think
think
they
he
had to
knew.
tell him the vision, like, no pun intended. They had to tell him the whole scope of things before, like, he can't signed on.
I do like his last line though in the show, where he references how he was a voice.
Yeah.
Right, with no body, and then he was a body with, but not a body but not human,
Yeah.
and then he was a memory, right?
Something like that.
that-
I can't remember.
Hold
how
on.
it went.
Did he start back on Iron Man? Because he was
He was
on
Jarvis.
Iron.
He was
I know he
Jarvis,
was
yeah.
Jarvis, but I'm saying like they didn't change actors for Jarvis.
No,
I know.
It was the same the whole
Yeah.
time. So yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe he had no idea, because if it came in later, you'd be like, oh, it would make sense. The
Yeah.
Marvel train
I guess
is rolling.
because they didn't really know how far they were
Now-
going to go with Marvel.
now,
That's when
Feige-
first Iron Man came
Yeah.
out. not at all.
Feige had a plan,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And whether everybody knew Feige's plan,
Yeah.
but by the time first Avengers came out, Feige was like,
Oh yeah.
he's like Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, he's gonna be Vision.
Yeah.
He's like, I am already setting up for the second. For the second movie, and Jarvis is going to be Vision.
It's honestly, I mean, that kind of segues pretty well with the whole idea of DC and everything, and them trying to kind of revamp everything, because they see what Marvel's doing,
Yeah,
and they're trying.
No,
to,
they
they're
see the
trying to-
money Marvel makes.
They see the money Marvel makes.
It's
They're
the
trying to cash in on it, but DC just, aside from the Christopher Nolan Batman series, DC just does not translate as well onto the silver screen. I don't know why they can't make it work. I don't know if it's because they seem like they have the potential to do really well. I just don't know if it's the studio, like Warner Brothers. I think they're the ones probably getting in the way.
Yeah, it is Warner Brothers.
Like, I really think that's what it is. And I think it comes down to this. Like, this is kind of what I was going to talk about. I was going to mention this earlier. You ever been, like, whether it's for work, whether it's for work or something else, you know, you ever had to deal with, like, there's an older guy or older person who's kind of, like, doing something, and you're like, why are you doing it that way? I deal with this all the time at work. And I mean, I don't try to act like I know everything. I really don't. And I have a lot to learn. But sometimes you question like what an older person does, and you kind of start to think, you're like, well, maybe they just got something up their sleeve that nobody else knows about. And so nobody really like questions them. They just kind of let them do their thing because, you know, they're older. It's like they're more experienced. And in the end, you realize what they were doing actually still made no sense, and they're just kind of like, you still don't understand why they did what they did, and all they did was make things worse. I think
they got into this pattern because of something in the past and have just never changed.
I think that's what's happening, like with Warner Brothers. I think you got some older people who are making these decisions, and everybody, like the directors and everybody under is trying to tell them like that's not going to work. You know, like with this CG thing, like animating all of Cyborg, you know, never having a human element to them, but there's somebody at Warner Bros. That's like, nah, you got to do it this way. And then in the end, they're like, you know, why did this fail? It's like, why'd you choose that? I think that's what's happening with Warner Brothers.
Inexperience.
Yeah.
Inexperience in modern technology, essentially.
Yes.
Okay, I like that you say inexperience in modern technology, because I think the reason why we're failing is because people with experience, but past experience, this is a very touchy subject. Because I think there is a lot we can learn from an older generation, get that patina, as I like to say a lot, from an older generation. And as we're early 20s, all of us here, except for this old dude over here.
Grandpa Joe.
Grandpa Joe.
My name is Grandpa Joe, and I am very old.
We have a lot we can learn from an older generation.
Yeah.
Our grandparents, or even parents.
All right, stop skirting the issue.
Now, we always brush our parents off.
Stop skirting the issue. You're saying we shouldn't listen to them,
No.
and we should build our own world.
We should
throw down the previous hierarchy.
Yes.
And we build a new
matriarchy.
It's time for a mass euthanization.
In a sense. I think there's a lot we can learn from
he
him.
actually kind of agreed.
It's time to pull the plug.
No, in a sense. But, no, how many... This happens on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not trying to say this person doesn't have anything that they can offer me in knowledge and I can learn from them. But listen, how many people on a day-to-day do I express the thought to them, and they say, well, that's not going to happen in our generation. Maybe in like a couple generations past us. And I'm like, why are we in this mindset of, if it's not my generation, I shouldn't go for it. I shouldn't try to make it in my generation. How many people say that?
That's literally like what's brought our generation to the point it is, because the generations before us were like, well,
yeah. So
Pause.
we need to set up the generation behind us, or
Pause.
what? Something.
Pause. Game off. Game off. Car. Game off.
I mean, you brought up earlier about Warner Brothers, and I chuckled to myself because all I saw was, you know, the scene of Looney Tunes Back in Action?
Yeah.
Where she's like, we made Warner Brothers millions of dollars. And it's two twin brothers. They're like,
Two Warner Brothers.
not a billion. Not a billion.
It's not a billion.
Not a billion.
If you haven't seen freaking Looney Tunes Back in Action, that was like the last good Brendan Fraser movie.
I was about to say, it has Brendan Fraser in it.
Yeah, it's really
Speaking
good.
of Brendan Fraser, you know what movie I have not watched in a long time?
Mummy.
The Mummy. And I want to watch the Mummy.
Why would you want to watch it? Don't watch Scorpion King now. Shh. Don't watch it.
Have you even seen any of the mummies?
Yeah, I've seen them.
The first Mummy,
I was
and
about to
I
shame
watched
you.
it recently with John Mark. I was watching. I hadn't seen it in years.
It's a gem.
right? And I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah.
Very.
I was like,
It's
wait
a
a second.
gem.
I'm like, wait, this is scary. It's like Indiana Jones, but scary.
Yeah.
They have bugs that get under your
My
skin.
my favorite part is when the guy finds the blue gold. He was like, this will fetch a nice price. And he looks at the picture. He's like,
or freaking he walks into the room and the mummy's standing there and he like cut out a dude's tongue,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, or somebody's eyes, and I'm like,
I know that scared the mess out of me as a kid. Like when I saw that, I was just like, or when the
I
guy
don't
loses his
remember-
eyes.
I
When the
don't
guy loses his
remember
eyes,
any of that. I don't remember. And I'm watching it as a grown man, like sitting on the couch, like wrapped in a blanket, like.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
That's gonna be the
My
thing.
favorite part of that
scary.
movie. My favorite part of that movie is when he's on the boat and he's with the librarian woman. She's going with him to go do this archaeological dig or whatever, and he just like lays out this roll of weapons and opens it up, and I'm just like, that is so cool. Because this is based like back in the 30s, 40s, something like that, and I'm just like, that's a lot of weaponry for back then, but that's so cool.
Okay, but we always brush over. You guys are talking about the scariness of the mummy, but freaking the bugs, man.
The bugs.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we're not discounting the fact that the bugs were the scariest part.
The bugs were the scariest part.
But Shia LaBeouf's character in that film.
Was he in it?
Oh no, we're thinking of
You're thinking
Indiana
of
Jones.
You're thinking of Kingdom of the Crystal
No,
Skull.
I'm
We
kidding.
don't talk about that movie.
I was joking. I
That
know he's not in
movie
it.
didn't happen. Harrison Ford was under some kind of
He
sedation
denies
for
the
that
fact.
movie.
No, I'll tell you what sedation he's under. Elderly sedation.
Elderly.
He's like,
The best kind
I'm
of sedation.
collecting a paycheck. I mean, he was literally just in a movie that came out that looks like
with
maybe
the
a
dog?
heartwarming thing, but the
dog
terrible animation. The dog.
He's like,
Oh yeah, I saw that movie.
at this
That does not
point,
look
he
like a
just
good
doesn't
movie.
Care.
I enjoyed it.
He just doesn't care. He's like, I don't really care. I'm just, I've done everything.
I was in Star Wars.
I was in
care.
Indiana Jones.
I
y'all-
broke a
did
hip.
Did y'all ever hear Mark Hamill talk about how he and George Lucas were the only ones who knew that Vader during Empire was going to say, "I'm your father"?
He was part of the people who knew.
Did he really?
Said, yeah, he said
No.
only he and I think George knew it because they actually had.
Okay.
I think he's
David
lying.
Prowse. He talked about it in an interview, and he said nobody.
lying.
He said on set, they said Obi-Wan killed your
Obi-Wan
father.
killed your
He
father.
said, but
Yeah.
only he and George knew,
I think he's lying too.
or he might not. I can't remember.
I think he's
Anyway,
lying.
He might have said that,
I think
but I think he's
Hamill
lying.
is suffering from old
Maybe.
person
But anyway,
memory.
it was so
where
funny.
they changed the facts. They changed the facts of the
But
story.
it was so funny because in the interview he talked about. He said when they were watching the premiere and that scene happened, he said Harrison looked down and was like, "You didn't tell me that."
Okay, that kind of validates the story a little
Okay,
bit.
I have a question. This is a not completely off topic. Seth, what did you think? Are you enjoying our Films of the Decades series?
Yes, very
Okay,
much
I
so.
want to talk to you as a fourth opinion.
Okay.
We're gonna go over our picks, and you tell us based on what your thoughts were when you were going through those episodes. I'm gonna start from the '60s. All right,
Okay.
because I know this is a bit derailing, but I want to talk about this. Otherwise, we'll forget.
Yeah.
All right. From the '60s, we picked The Sound of Music, The Great Escape, and True Grit. Did you think those were solid picks?
I would say so. Pretty decade defining.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Okay.
say, Sound of Music. It's a big part. Yeah, that's kind of like that's really what I with the sounds of music.
And so the '70s, A New Hope, Godfather, and Jaws. Now I know I happen to know your dad's favorite films are The Godfather. Because you told
He
me
loves
that.
The Godfather.
So you think he would be upset we didn't put that at number one?
In the 70s? No, I don't think he would be upset. I don't think he would be upset you didn't put it at number one. I think he would be glad that you had it in the top three, though.
Okay.
Star Wars, I still
We should get your
feel
dad
kind
on
of
a
owns
podcast.
number
That'd be
one.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We should get your dad on a podcast. That'd be
Oh,
fantastic.
he'd probably love it.
Joshua, do you have that? Do you have the one from the '80s and '90s? Because that's where I know we might argue. Because I want to hear your opinion. Because Joshua does not seem to be happy with our picks.
Let me
I'll
get
say
it
Sarah
found.
fully agreed with y'all because I was on the
Fully?
phone with her telling her
Fully?
my opinion, and
Really?
she fully agreed with y'all.
Okay.
Okay, so for the '80s, we have Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Empire.
Empire.
It's not just
and
Indiana
Back to the
Jones.
Future.
It's Raiders of the
It's
Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's the Indiana Jones, the movie.
Okay, so did you like it?
I have a thought, and I was thinking about this the other day, but you expressed your opinion about that first.
About the 80s?
Yes. Here's the picks.
It's pretty solid. I can't remember what everybody's picks for the 80s were, but as far as top three, I think it's
Well,
pretty-
we were
pretty
the
fair
big.
for the
I think
80s.
the big
I feel
discussion
like
was.
I feel like I guess it depends on your criteria for how you choose it. There's some really good 80s films, but like you might could have. I would have threw like Breakfast Club in there.
No.
Because I feel like that is a very
No.
When people think 80s movies, that's one of the first things that pops up.
I would put Ferris Bueller in there first.
Okay, that's a big 80s movie too.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
it was on the list.
Yeah.
It was on, but
but that's a good
for
top 3
Breakfast
though.
Club.
That's a good top. I mean, this is a podcast that talks a lot about movies and film and stuff, and I feel like these are good picks from like a filmmaker kind of perspective.
I'm just saying, would you rather
Filmmaker
watch The
perspective.
Breakfast Club, which is going to make you depressed?
No, I love The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
Okay,
like I'm
it's
not.
gonna-
Why
Yeah.
wasn't it on your list?
Because I had to put
You had
Back
to
to
pick
the Future
three.
because nobody else was going to put that.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put, what were my other picks? Dead Poet because that was nobody
Yeah.
else.
But
was
nobody
gonna pick
saw
that.
Dead Poet. Why did you
Yeah.
pick that one?
And in
That's
terms
one of
of
my favorite movies.
But nobody
in general.
watched
in terms of like quality defining movies, those are good
Yeah.
picks. Things like Breakfast Club, like those 80s movies,
Ferris
those are
Bueller.
and
Ferris Bueller.
They're good. They're more like a nostalgic thing. Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the-
yeah.
That's
like
what the
you know,
80s is.
that's true. But
That we have the
That's
great
what
cinema.
that's what the 80s is for people now.
Yeah.
I was trying to pick movies
it's
that
like
were
Cobra
for,
Kai.
for people
Oh,
people
yeah, and
then.
in the
that was
Where-
one of my.
movies that were
yeah,
big for
Karate
people then,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Die Hard was big for people then.
Mm-hmm.
It was massive. What else was on my
Karate
list?
You had Forrest Gump, but that was the 90s.
That was the 90s. I'm talking about 80s.
See, my guy doesn't remember. His
I don't
pick.
even remember my movie.
pick.
Mine were Ferris Bueller, The Goonies.
The
Goonies.
Right?
Now
Big.
that seemed like that should have been. It could have gotten on the list, but we had these other ones that it was.
Yeah,
up
and
against.
Die Hard, right? Those are
Die
mine.
Hard.
They're all movies people enjoyed
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, The Goonies is
As well
definitely
as
it's
now.
like the icon of like kid adventures.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff, you know. It's like it's like why we have like Stranger Things now.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like 'cause stuff like the Goonies.
But I wanted to pick movies that not only did people love then
Mm-hmm.
and were huge hits then, but have endured.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
have an impact on
Right.
today. You know,
And it's not
that's a
just
big
it's
part.
not like the reason I didn't pick The Princess Bride, which is my favorite movie, is because when the Fox did not advertise The Princess Bride in the
But it's a
correct
cult
way.
classic.
It's a cult classic.
Yeah.
It was people in the late 90s and early 2000s started buying VHS
Yeah.
and finding it and loving it.
Yeah,
right?
people like it now. People didn't like it when it first
Yeah.
came out. It's
now
cult
that's
classic.
true. I don't think I saw Princess Bride till 2010.
So how much is nostalgia like clouding our view
Right.
of the what was going on in the
Right.
time?
That's
what
why.
people
That's why I
enjoyed
say.
then.
That's why I say like these are solid picks from like the perspective of like from a filmmaking quality perspective instead of just like you think of 80s, what movies pops up. It's not always just about that, but it's about like the quality of the movies.
I have a
how
theory.
the story's told.
I have a theory.
Okay,
I disagree.
dude,
You might.
hard
You probably
no.
will.
Okay.
Hard
Probably
no.
will. What do you think when you think of the 80s as a decade?
I think of Jaws, but it wasn't even in the decade.
You think of
I mean,
bright
like
colors,
movie-wise,
movies, just the 80s vibe when it comes to entertainment.
I think
we have
of-
the bright colors. We have
Yeah, I was about to say. I think of
the-
big hair, go-go boots,
we had
rock
the
and
kid
roll.
films like the group of kids,
Mm-hmm.
actors.
Goonies,
I think
E.T.
I have
kinda
a
stuff.
predict. Another Joshua predicts. This is special. Get two today. Joshua predicts. Ding, ding, ding. We should get a little tune for that.
A little bell.
ding 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 ding, like a
I
cowbell.
think 2020, this decade we're about to approach.
It's gonna
I
be a
think- I think it's
bloodbath.
gonna be. We're gonna go and kind of go into kind of newer version of the 80s again because
We already
think of.
have been.
I know, but I'm saying this decade. We're seeing it. We've seen it this past year, but we're gonna see it more in this decade with kid films, with leading roles, with music. I mean, things like The Weeknd. Listen to like his stuff. It's really like vibrant. It kind of has like an 80s.
There's a lot.
Like an
Yeah,
80s
I agree
feel.
with that. With in the past 5 years and still going, there's been a lot of callbacks to the 80s.
But I don't
like
want
80s
callbacks.
No.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I want the 80s back.
Yeah.
No, I don't want the 80s back. I want new stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is some new stuff, but have you seen? This is just a big thing that's come out like this past week, and I've been just seeing it. But have you seen? I know this is gonna probably bring up some controversy. Justin Bieber's new album.
Yep.
The look of it.
Controversy.
the look of it.
I don't know what it
It's
looks like.
very colorful, very 80s esque.
Oh, okay.
We gotta pull this
But
up.
see, that's my issue. Is we get remakes, we get redos, we get Cobra Kai, we get this kind of stuff, and I like Cobra Kai, right? And Mandalorian and callbacks and things, but I don't want that. I want it's very 80s,
colorful
but
80s.
I don't want that.
They've got
I
the
want
purples,
new
they've got the
stuff.
bright greens.
Avatar was new, right? The one with Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic film.
Yeah.
It was similar to Groundhog Day as far as the rewind time premise, but it was a new movie, right? I want new things. I don't want to see the same thing. I don't want to watch Spielberg over and over again. I want to see new stuff. I want to see.
Okay, what do you want? What do you want, Wyatt?
When it comes down to
wants
it,
the
what do you
truth.
want from life?
But he can't
I
handle
know what
the
I
truth.
want.
I
know what I want, but
I don't want the 80s. I like the themes. I like the music, but I don't want that. I want something new.
okay.
Right?
Did you like Stranger Things?
Yes, but I love like what Taika Waititi does.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
He makes funny movies that look beautiful, but they have sort of a synth kind of theme with the music.
Shout out to Thor
right?
Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. But I remember watching that, and that was my first movie that sort of, where I was watching the trailers, sort of getting introduced to Taika Waititi and what his work was.
Right.
And when I heard the music in the trailers, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then I went and watched his other movies, and I heard the same sort of synthy, music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so this is his thing.
I
right?
agree with you because my top 2 favorite superhero movies of all time are one, and I've always said this, Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire, because they had that throwback element to the music.
What about Bully Maguire?
You gonna cry?
You're trash.
I love he's like spinning the hammer around as he's dancing.
You're trash.
And then we have Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
I like
Guardians
those
of the
two.
Galaxy, because Guardians was, up to that point, Marvel was serious, right? It was serious. They were taking superhero movies and doing what Christopher Nolan was doing and trying to ground them in reality. And then with Guardians, it was like, you really think we can try to ground Guardians of the Galaxy, which is about a space rogue, a green alien woman, a tree, and a raccoon? You think we can ground this? No, we go all out. We don't make this Star Trek. We make it Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Right?
Fantastic.
And
film.
they in the making of that, they referenced Galaxy Quest a lot, right?
Yeah.
They Galaxy Quest took from Star Trek and made something new
Made a
and
spoof,
funny, right?
essentially.
But something that's all its own.
Yeah.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy borrowed from Galaxy Quest, right? And so there's sort of like this heritage.
Remix. Yeah.
It's a heritage. It's like a, going down the generations.
I'm curious.
The answer is probably not.
Well, you might rethink that answer.
Okay.
When it comes to the 2010s, Seth, because I need you to be kind of a referee for us. Because as we step into the 20s, the 2000s and 2010s, what are we going to do?
We didn't even address the 90s list.
Oh, yikes.
Well, we might circle back to it. I don't know. But
Circle.
what are we going to do regarding Lord of the Rings and the Marvel Universe?
Huh.
Can we please count Lord of the Rings as just a long movie and make it all like one?
I agree with that.
I think that'd be fine to just count it as a trilogy.
So that wasn't very hard. So we're doing that. What are we doing about Marvel?
We have to pick Guardians as the Marvel movie and then just say nothing else can be. We can't choose anything else.
No.
See, that's the funny thing is like that's actually something to talk about. So something we see a lot more in the past 20 years is more movie universe building and series and stuff rather than just movies by themselves.
It's interesting though to see the evolution because studios, ever since Marvel kicked off this universe thing, studios have been trying to catch up with the monster universe, with the Justice League, DC universe, and now it's evolving into TV shows.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
which is a better TV such a better medium.
It really is.
It's so much better for long form.
What they did with The Mandalorian, what Netflix has been doing for like the past 8 years with their originals, they invest so much into shows. What Game of Thrones did.
Disney's finally getting it.
Well, Disney's done one thing right. Let's not give them too much credit. They did one thing right, and it was mostly because they kind of probably left him alone.
What?
Mandalorian.
Yeah, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. That's why
The
it was right, 'cause they
Mandalorian
left him alone.
and WandaVision are shows that people are watching.
Probably WandaVision. I haven't seen it yet.
But again, even if it's not like
WandaVision's good.
Even if it's not like the best thing ever, it's better than a crap ton of stuff out there because it's long form storytelling. Long form always gives you better character development, better stories, right? So if WandaVision was a movie, I could probably cut the show into a movie and make it kind of work, but it needs that long form storytelling so we can truly get the emotions that they're feeling, right? The problem with the Marvel movies is that the character development happens over years and in single movies. Where we see Iron Man's character development from the first movie to Endgame, right? It was the first movie where even the Iron Man series where he wasn't the guy who would. I mean, even in Avengers, Steve tells him, he's like, "You're not the guy who's gonna make the sacrifice play and lay on a barbed wire fence so somebody can crawl over you." And then in the end, Iron Man is the one to do that.
Right.
And then Steve's character development is in the same scene. Iron Man says there's nothing special about you, right? Everything about you that's special came out of a bottle. Yeah. But it wasn't. I mean, he wields the hammer of Thor.
Yeah.
Right? It's character development over the course of years in these movies, right? But that's the problem. It's over the course of years.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally Iron Man 1 came out, 2008?
Yeah.
And we are 23 years later.
We need
13 years later.
23 years.
23. It's been 23 years.
Quick
maths.
We need the TV shows so that we can get characters like Bucky and like Falcon, and have some serious character development. That's not going to take place over years.
By the way, so far I've only seen the first episode and half of the second one.
Nope, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm just saying I like it.
What's the vibe? Is it Winter Soldier vibes? Because I love spy movie superhero stuff.
A little bit. You'll see. Sam and Bucky, when they get together, do have a cool little dynamic of the trash talk between each other. It's pretty funny.
It was in Civil War, and that was everybody's favorite part of Civil War was
they built on that a little bit, and it's pretty good. It's it's deeper, so you're actually gonna get a lot more personally connected to Bucky because because it's not Bucky on the side of Captain America like it used to be. Now it's more focus on him as a main character now, and I think it's so far. Like I said, I only saw the first episode and half of the second, so I haven't.
But I mean, how long has Bucky been in the Marvel universe? Since the beginning, since Captain America came out.
Yeah.
And how much character development has he gotten? Most of it was in Winter Soldier and Civil War, right?
Which wasn't much,
right? Even though it's a good bit for fitting it into movies, but now those TV shows we're gonna be able to get serious character development.
And he's so much more interesting, in the show. His character is so much cooler too.
Yeah.
Now that you're actually getting to see more of his personality and stuff come out.
Yeah.
Did you guys see? Has Loki come out?
No.
When is it coming out?
I don't know.
What do you
Something's coming out in April. Something's coming out in April.
Kind of excited for
Bad Batch is coming out May 4th.
What?
Bad Batch is coming
Oh,
out May
really?
4th.
We don't care about that.
What's Bad Batch?
You shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth.
I don't even.
Why did I watch that whole season?
What's Bad Batch?
Why did I
Bad
watch
Batch.
all of season 7?
Talking about
Yeah,
Clone Wars?
Star Wars. Did you watch the whole
Yeah.
season? Why? It was the first.
Yeah, you
It
can.
was the last 3 episodes that I should have started watching.
Right. The first
What are we
few were like
talking about? I'm
okay,
so
and
confused.
then
I'm
like
lost, too.
it's what like the episodes like 4 through 7, whichever the ones with Ahsoka like are like
Oh,
they're just so
Star
throwaway.
Wars.
It's throwaway.
Bad Batch, yeah, Bad Batch is they introduced a batch of clones in season 7 that were like
kind of rejects.
they were like rejects because they were genetically like had issues or
Looks
stuff
pretty
like that.
sweet,
Yeah,
honestly.
they had like issues with the clones where like some like had more intelligence or some grew bigger, had more, but they throw them together.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, they throw them together in
Oh, it's
one
animated.
group to make like a like special.
I'll say this:
unit,
the
you know?
animation in that season looks way better than the original.
Yes, I'll
Is this
say
a is this a playoff Clone Wars?
It is.
It's
Clone
a spin-off.
Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, it is
it's
Clone
It's a
Wars.
spin-off from Clone Wars. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
At
Yeah.
what point are they going to go crazy and try to do Order 66, or can they even do it since they're
Order
genetically-
66.
Yeah,
Oh, talking about the Bad Batch.
yeah.
I don't know.
Best part of the whole season.
That makes
is
me
when they
wonder.
attack
Is I wonder
Ahsoka.
if they got the chips in their
Yeah.
head.
That's the best part is when they attack Ahsoka and you're like, no.
But wouldn't Bad Batch like not for me to be presumptuous because I haven't even really watched Clone Wars through.
It's worth watching. If you do,
I've seen actually. I think I saw the first season, but I didn't watch past that.
here's the thing. If you watch Clone Wars, they're not in chronological order.
Okay.
Because when they first started doing the show, they were doing it as an anthology, so it was just a collection of just different,
Things.
war stories.
They brought up Darth Maul and stuff.
But they do have story arcs, so you have to jump around to actually get like a
You might want to
chronological
look
order.
up. You might want to
can
look
look
up
it up.
online ways to watch the show.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Well-
that. Somebody actually they took it and done it out chronologically how to watch it, like so that it like starts at the beginning,
Makes sense.
like right after episode 2 and bleeds into episode 3.
So then this Bad Batch series that's coming out, it almost already seems like, and you might have already said this, that's why I'm thinking it, but it already almost seems like it's a group of clones
Mhm.
that don't fall in order.
They have,
And
they
then
have,
they're not going to be a part of Order 66. They're going to be fighting against it.
maybe
probably.
not. They have.
That's what it seems like
I don't
obvious
know.
to me.
They have the Bad Batch. They have genetic deficiencies, and instead of throwing them out like they usually would, they kind of took some certain ones, depending on what their deficiency was, and put them into this special unit.
Yeah.
So like
Like
you
a
know,
Suicide Squad.
yeah.
It is
So
suicide.
like
It's literally
basically,
suicide.
basically, so like this, one of them, his deficiency was that he got too much muscle mass. He was much taller and much like bigger than every clone, but he also was not intelligent like at all.
Right.
One of them was like really small and scrawny, but was super intelligent. He was like the IT, the intel guy.
So far, this is like
Fantastic.
Exactly.
Sounds cool.
and
bit
then
on the
and
nose.
one guy's like, there's just different.
Yeah.
They have their different quirks about him.
Who do they
One's
have
like a
with them? Who's the clone from the original series that they have with them? The one that got experimented on. Is that Echo? 5?
Yes, it's Echo.
It's Echo.
It's
Okay.
Echo because they thought Echo was dead, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but he wasn't dead.
Spoiler alert.
guys.
But yeah.
Echo's not dead.
Fantastic. Are we?
Fantastic.
What do you want?
I kind of wanted Seth to address our 90s picks.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Oh,
go
okay.
back
Go
around.
back to the
Yeah,
90s
before we-
picks.
Before we finish.
Revert.
All right,
We
we're
can go
gonna
as long as we want.
We'll go a few more minutes, but we'll know at this point we're kind of ending
That's
it
the
whenever
90s
we
picks.
feel like
We
it.
got Braveheart sitting at number 3. We got Jurassic Park
Number
sitting at
1.
number 2. We got Hook at number 1.
Braveheart's
No.
at number 1 actually, and Hook's at number 3.
Of course.
Okay.
Now you heard our arguments about Saving Private Ryan. Joshua's outburst about Hook.
Yes. So
You heard-
Joshua, please don't outburst because I've already heard everything you have to say. This is just my opinion.
No, he's gonna do one of Joshua's classic. What? What? No.
Yes.
No.
I
That's
disagree.
exactly what he's gonna do. I know you disagree.
What?
When
No.
have you ever agreed
His,
with anything
that's
I
actually
say?
No.
his real
When has he
catchphrase.
ever-
It's his disguise catchphrase. It's the
What
one
is
you
it?
don't. I disagree.
Yeah, that's the one that
Well, I'm
we need
the
a
smartest
hat that
person
says
on earth.
I
so
disagree.
you should
That's
I
what
always agree with me.
disagree.
That's good merch,
I want a
Joshua.
sticker that
Good
says I
job.
disagree.
We'll do a hat that says I disagree.
Yeah.
A dad hat, like you wear. We'll do the same colors, but we'll put I disagree
Yeah.
on it.
All right. So what are you saying, Seth?
Look, I love Hook. Very influential movie. Definitely. I just don't know if it beats Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan hit home for so
Wait, Hook
many
doesn't
people.
beat Saving Private Ryan?
It's Seth's opinion.
I said I don't know if it can.
What? I disagree.
I'm going to shock the world here. I'm going to shock
You're
the world.
not really going to.
I'm going to shock the world.
well, the world will have to be watching this, but
I agree with that statement.
wow, we're shocked. Color me shocked.
But the thing is,
Wyatt, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just.
we already have Hook that's a Steven Spielberg film.
I don't care that it's a Spielberg film.
We're not. I can't
We need to
help.
knock.
I can't help that Steven Spielberg dominated the 80s and the 90s, okay?
And the 70s,
The
kind
dude
of.
was, and the 70s. He was a genius. I can't help that.
We have to knock something off this list and put
The
Saving
thing
Private
is,
Ryan. But
Steven
keep Hook.
Spielberg did both,
not.
Hook
We're-
and Saving. So we're not.
He did Saving?
Yeah, he did Saving.
Okay, let's disregard director.
Yeah.
Throw that out,
Throw that
right?
out. It doesn't
I
matter.
I
Just 'cause it's a
think
good
we
movie.
chose Hook ultimately because it means more to us.
No, I think it means more to
Nope.
a generation.
Nope.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Saving
doesn't.
Private Ryan means more to more people than Hook does.
I'm willing to.
Saving Private
Pan
Ryan.
I'm willing.
means so
was a-
much to a generation.
I am willing
Joshua.
to lay down $50 that if you were to poll, and not like on your Instagram because you're going to get biased response, but if
Yeah.
you were to poll unbiasedly
1,000 people.
1,000 people,
Okay.
you
That's
would get
usually
more
statistically
people that have
significant.
watched Saving Private Ryan
Right
than
now.
they have Hook.
Yeah.
Let's put
Because it spoke out. It's World War II. It's
let's
such
put
an
60 seconds on
integral
the clock.
part of our
Well, Seth
history.
gets 60 seconds. I get
It
60
connects
seconds
with
to
people
argue why
emotionally
connects with
because it's a
people.
real thing.
Hook is a great movie. It's whimsical. It's magical. It speaks to the child inside of you.
But it's literally Neverland.
But Saving Private Ryan speaks to
Okay,
your
we
soul in a different way because
Too
it
many
is something
people
that
in a
actually
real way.
happened.
we should have discounted Hook and Saving Private Ryan and just put Forrest Gump. That's what we should have done. It's what we should have done.
I would have been okay with
Give
that.
us 60 seconds.
I'm not gonna
Seth
even
gets
lie.
60 seconds. I get 60 seconds to argue our point.
All right,
now.
Seth,
Go.
ready?
60 seconds.
60
I mean, it doesn't
seconds.
matter. It's already canon anyway. But
All right, okay. This allows you to give your piece about it.
Okay.
All right, 60 seconds.
wait, what am I doing?
You're
60 seconds to
arguing.
do
You're
what?
arguing. Joshua doesn't want us to talk over each
Okay,
other.
reset it.
You get 60 seconds to
Go ahead,
argue
go.
your point.
Okay, my point is this. Hook is a great movie. It's a whimsical movie. It speaks to the child in all of us. It's worth the watch. Everybody needs to watch
And
Hook.
to the grown-up.
And to the grown-ups. But Saving Private Ryan hits home on a very deep emotional level because of its realism, its graphic, and because it's about a war that was so integral to this country's history. World War II was a time when everybody was banded together for the good of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it speaks on a more emotional level. Neverland isn't real. You know, I mean, it's good for our imagination and for our escape as adults to go back to that child within us. But ultimately, Saving Private Ryan is going to speak more to people because of what it's about, you know, and that kind of, you know, and because it's one of the most realistic war movies we also have as well.
Stop. All right. That was a great
Okay.
point, Seth. I actually really agree with you. Joshua, give your piece and
Wyatt predicts.
Okay.
Wyatt predicts.
Just briefly, Wyatt predicts Josh is
Who's
gonna
gonna
say
disagree?
Josh is gonna say a lot without saying much. Let's go.
All right, go, Joshua.
I agree with exactly what Seth said, but I agree, and that's why I'm saying Hook is better. Because what is ultimately Hook? What is Peter Pan? Okay, Peter Pan is the dreams of what our childhood was, but the story isn't that. The story is the dreams that we have as kids growing up. So, you were saying that Hook is more for kids and it's more of us as child. You said something like that.
I said
But-
it speaks to the child in us.
Speaks to the child in us. But yes, no, that's not what Hook is. That's what Peter Pan is. But Hook was ultimately going from a kid to an adult, and that forgetting who Peter Pan was. Saving Private Ryan is, from a filmmaker's perspective, probably a better film. I agree. But ultimately, Hook has a deeper meaning, and it speaks to our inner child and forgetting what our dreams as a child is.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this one to Seth because Josh didn't hammer home why more people like.
I could
Peter
see where
Pan.
Joshua was going.
Yeah,
I disagree, but I think I know where Joshua was going because he was saying
But
there are
again-
lessons as an adult that Hook brings us
This
that
is
maybe
true.
Saving Private Ryan doesn't bring us, but Saving Private Ryan, I think the goal of that is ultimately, it spoke to a lot of people who are in the military, of course. But we talked to Andrew Fan at the end of the podcast last week about that and what he likes about it. But also, I think it ultimately, for the average viewer, Saving Private Ryan gives you an admiration and respect for the military and these people who do make sacrifices. Hook gets to us a message that is more of a personal, on a personal level, essentially.
Yes.
And it has to do with mixing our childhood, whimsical stuff, and converting that into actually being an adult. And that's what Hook does, and it does it really well. I don't know if it deserves a higher admiration on our list than Saving Private Ryan, but it's canon. It's going to go that
when
way.
did you watch Saving Private Ryan?
I'll
for
tell
the
you
first
what.
time?
Like when early high school, probably.
Okay, so, but Hook rings more with your soul.
Yeah,
right?
because ultimately Peter Pan rings with my
Yeah.
soul. I think growing up, I always have
So
Peter
you're-
Pan was
so you're
one of
biased.
my favorites.
So you're biased.
No,
He's biased.
I agree.
Biased.
Saving Private Ryan
is why
is
he's
a
arguing so
fantastic
hard.
film
Biased.
and could be on our list, but it's not better for overall people. And
It
it's not a
doesn't. It
better
doesn't
film.
have. It doesn't have the whimsy, right?
On a top tier. I would put Hook. Saving Private Ryan would be right after it. It's up there, but it's not Hook.
I want to know what our viewers think. So why don't you comment down below?
We
if
did a
you're-
poll,
If you're
actually.
watching, did you really?
Joshua
I never
did a
saw that.
poll.
we
For
got 2
the
thumbs
picks.
down on our picks.
Not
Two thumbs
for-
down.
not
How
for
many thumbs
90s.
up did we get?
Oh,
Oh, this is for this. This is
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
60s and 70s. We haven't done 80s and 90s yet.
We got 2 thumbs down. One of them was Josh.
we could do a poll on Instagram, but also if you are watching on YouTube, please comment down below your opinion. Do you think Saving Private Ryan should have been on the list, or do you think Hook
I think it should
deserves
be
its
on the
place?
list.
Or
but Hook
think-
is good.
Or do you think because this argument is so, close that we should have scrapped both and put Forrest Gump on the list?
That's also
because
an
I
option.
think that's a better
Well, we know Esther's not
alternative.
going to like that.
Oh god.
I think it's a better alternative.
Okay, I have another theory. That's actually not a theory at all. It's,
It's
just
like
a good
it's
idea.
almost like Hook and Saving Private Ryan rolled into one.
Yeah.
So it's like a burrito.
It's like a
It's,
burrito.
it's like,
like a burrito
it's
with
like a
beans
nice
and
movie
beans.
burrito.
It's got the whimsy. It's got the war.
It's got beautiful, heartwarming story.
It's got everything in it.
It's got
It's like
exercise.
a warm bean burrito
It's got exercise.
that you kind of get diarrhea from.
Okay, I got a great idea for merch. We'll do a hat that says I disagree, and we'll do a shirt or a hoodie that says Saving versus Hook.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
I would
this
buy
is gonna
that and
be
wear it
this is gonna be
everywhere.
a never-ending argument, probably,
Yeah.
if we keep bringing it up. But I did want to. What was I actually gonna say? Crap.
Sorry.
Oh, did we finish our thought about what are we gonna do? We decided we're doing Lord of the Rings as
Yeah.
combined.
Yeah.
Well, what are we actually doing?
I was gonna say because you can't really do Lord of the Rings as just one movie, just because of how they were made too. It's just one. It really is more like one big movie.
As far as Marvel goes, if you pick a Marvel movie for your 2000s or 2010s pick, I want you to argue it.
Oh,
You're gonna have
How
to
about-
argue why it needs to be on.
We
the
make a
list.
rule right now. You can have whatever Marvel movie you want on your personal list, but
They can't
ultimately
all be
the
Marvel.
the final 3 can only have one Marvel movie on it.
If
If it
you
does.
manage to argue it on there,
Look,
yeah.
I don't think you should pick a Marvel movie unless you can argue it unless you feel comfortable arguing it onto the final.
And let me
list.
tell you right now,
I can argue
I'm very comfortable.
into anything.
You can argue.
I am
but
very
I think the only Marvel movie that deserves to be on the final list is the first Iron Man.
The first Iron Man.
But
think
I'm
that's
very
the
comfortable
one.
arguing it any Marvel to stay off.
You
of the
disagree,
list.
I know.
What came before the first Iron Man?
But I disagree with you.
What superhero
we're not
film
talking about
was the best?
When we
and
say
before
Marvel, we're talking about
Spider-Man.
MCU specifically, Joshua.
MCU.
We're talking about MCU specifically, not.
I believe
Spider-Man's
Marvel.
part of the MCU.
No, not
the Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire
Tobey
one.
Maguire.
Not yet, ladies and gentlemen. Not yet.
If you want to, I fully stand behind you. If you put any Tobey Maguire movie on except the third one, first and second,
okay.
you can
It has
have
to be
both of them on your list.
The second one's better.
The third
first
one-
one's good, but
Dude,
the second one's
the
the
third
best.
one is really
Second one is
the
fantastic.
third one is really lovable, like for the fact that it's so bad.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like I'm trying to think of. It's like that. It's like a pug. I love pugs.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
ugly.
It's really ugly. It's kind of stupid. You
Spider-Man
know,
3 is
you
like a
almost
pug.
feel sorry for it, but you love it because
Yeah.
it's so adorable.
I am gonna disagree with you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, because you're saying that we should completely discount Marvel.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you're saying be comfortable to get it on top 3. I'm saying I'm very comfortable arguing Marvel to stay completely off our top 3s.
But we're talking about the influence of movies on people. Who, you tell me who, since Steven Spielberg has had a bigger impact on our everyday lives.
I was about to say.
Definitely not our everyday life.
I was
I don't
gonna-
think any filmmaker has had an impact on our everyday life.
I disagree.
You tell me.
George Lucas.
You tell
You know
me.
how many times I
Peter
spent.
Jackson.
You know how many days I
Okay,
spent
so we've got
lightsaber
it.
fighting my cousins.
We've got it. Star Wars.
Did you bend over
Lord
and
of the
rip your pants
Rings.
any of those times?
Marvel.
What about Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
If we're gonna reach out to our especially female audience, Harry Potter was beloved by the women.
If Harry
It
Potter
was.
gets on the final 3, I'm gonna kill one of you.
I would only argue for
Harry Potter is
Prisoner of Azkaban or the Half-Blood
Harry
Prince.
Potter is Star Wars with wooden sticks. Instead
I
of
don't think it's gonna make it.
lightsabers.
Don't worry.
But Marvel, I think, has to play a factor. If Lord of the Rings gets to play a factor, right, and it only had 3 movies, it was massive, it was beloved by people, Marvel has to be a factor.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't.
It has impacted our lives for the past 13 years.
You certainly can't go without mentioning the absolute like cultural impact it had. I mean, you can't not mention it at all. Maybe
How much money did Endgame make in the box office?
Too much
for that
made a
for
lot.
that alone,
But
it completed the story arc of our characters. These are our generation's superheroes.
I mean, think about it.
There
Marvel-
are Hercules, there are Achilles, there are the
Zeus,
and Poseidon. These are our superheroes
Josh
for
Wisener.
our generation.
But you do not think that they are messing up a lot of stuff for everybody.
Like what?
Well, specifically DC. You think that DC would be as bad as it is if Marvel wasn't
You're
as
not
big
ever-
as they are?
DC shoots themselves in the foot.
You
I have no
cannot
sympathy.
make something good without other people trying to copy you in a bad way.
That's the thing. I argue Marvel at this point I don't think is good anymore.
You're wrong.
No. I have to say this. The end of Endgame was very hokey.
You're wrong.
Well,
The
thanks
end
for
of
joining
Endgame
us
was
on this
so-
week's
The end of
episode
Endgame? What do you
of the
mean?
podcast.
The end of
Like
the
when Cap
final
came back?
battle, dude.
The final battle.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was
There were
hokey.
hokey parts in the final
Sure,
battle.
but I mean
There
that's
was more
all
hope
Marvel.
than there
Marvel's
was awesome.
always been that way.
Right.
They've always
Look,
had the
what are we
comedy.
If you want to
and
say the
serious.
first Iron Man deserves a spot, I might give you a sliver. But you're competing with a lot of stuff, man. There's a 2000s and 2010s
I would also-
has been the golden age of nonstop good films.
I would also argue for Civil War.
Civil War
You know what was a good
pretty-
film? M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar. That was a great film.
All right,
That was a fantastic
okay,
film.
Be quiet. We're talking.
We're talking shop,
Okay.
Joshua.
If I had a lapel
I
mic,
just
that's
think-
when I'd rip it off.
I think Marvel has played too much of a part in our lives for our entire teenage years for us to be like, we're not gonna put it on the list.
Maybe y'all can talk about that when you do the video.
Listen,
We're not gonna
I'll
put it on the list.
The thing is, I don't think it's been on the. It
Star
deserves
Wars
to be on
gets
the
to be
list.
on there.
I'm gonna
Harry
Josh,
Potter gets to be on
Here we
there.
go. I'm gonna say something
Lord of the
that's gonna
Rings
make
gets to be on
everybody
there.
mad at me.
Marvel.
I got disappointed right around freaking the Galaxy one.
Guardians of the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Why?
I got disappointed right around that time.
Oh,
Because it was too silly.
because it was too good.
No.
Yeah, makes sense.
It had
can
nothing
be
to do with
better
the
than it.
silly. It has nothing to do with Chris Pratt. It has nothing to do with all these great actors. It has everything to do with where the studio was going with the films at that point.
You knew where it was going.
Yeah, where we see it at right now.
No.
2, it's oversaturated. We have stupid characters like Captain Marvel in the universe, which are dumb.
Okay, that's
We
a
agree.
whole separate discussion about Captain Marvel.
We agree on all these points, right?
Also, Benedict Cumberbatch, freaking Doctor Strange is a dumb character. I don't
We
care if
agree.
he was a comic.
I agree.
I agree.
Dumb character.
I agree. But I love the good characters more than that.
If you watch WandaVision, you might like it a little better.
Yeah, I think I agree
That's how
with
you do
where
a
you're
really
saying
good
we
character arc.
hit this stage of not good Marvel movies, but then we are getting into Disney Plus originals that are kind of
It's going to be
it's
long form
reinventing itself.
storytelling. It's
yeah,
going
it's
to be.
Which I'm
reinventing it. It's
open
gonna
to
be
that. I'm
Yeah.
open
better,
to that. But I
It's
think
good.
we hit a wall with the movies, and we haven't recovered.
I'll agree. I'll agree that.
But it was pretty early on, too.
I'll agree that the bad guys were shallow.
We could do
right?
this for hours.
The humor was meh.
We really could.
Okay,
Are
but
we-
yeah, we're gonna end it once I make my point. Okay, but again, these are superhero movies. They are about superheroes. Not everything is going to be Christopher Nolan's Batman. Sometimes I just want to
that's
see.
not anybody's list.
Sometimes
It would. All 3 would be on my list.
Sometimes I just
Just
want to
gonna be Dark
see
Knight.
the Hulk destroying things. I am not looking for some sort of commentary on society. Okay,
Well, we all agree we don't want that.
I just want to watch superheroes fight.
Yeah.
But there's a way to do it, and I think it has to do with how far you suspend your audience's belief. If you can get them to see extraordinary things, but not have to suspend their belief too far, like Christopher Nolan's Batman, it works.
But Christopher
hard.
Nolan's Batman can only go so far.
I understand, but ultimately, what do we think is better?
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the podcast.
This is a great time, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
really was.
I really
I-
enjoyed this.
Yes,
I'm
we're
very
glad you're
honored
here,
to be
Seth.
the first in-person guest on the podcast.
And you won't be the last.
to
At-
all
at
to
some
all of
point.
you that come after me, take it. 'Cause
I'm not going to be.
I preceded all of you.
Freaking- Oh, our video stopped behind us.
It's all good.
Wait, we're really glad you guys sat through this. I hope we didn't. I didn't mean for it to get heated, but it did. And so we love you the same way that Seth loves his Star Wars.
We subscribe to this channel.
Subscribe to this channel on
YouTube channel.
YouTube. If you listen to us, thank you for listening. We're glad you're here. Follow us whatever you listen to us on, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher or iHeartRadio or even Google Podcasts.
And guys, go to the comments. Tell us what you think about Hook versus saving
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan.
And let us know if you want merch.
Yeah,
I was about to say
Hook.
Hook versus Pan.
That's actually...
Kill the
All right.
lawyer.
Hook versus Ryan.
All right.
Okay.
Should we end this doing 30-second stories?
No, this is not midnight. This is not midnight.
Can I have the final little
Yes.
phrase thing before like you just cut it off?
Joshua's going to butt in. He's going to say, I can fix that.
No, it's not midnight special. I
Here-
will not say that.
Here it is, the last word.
Here we go.
Shoop de whoop.
Shoop de whoop. Oh no, that was like
knew
shoot.
it.
That was like
I
shoot.
knew it.
Question mark.
All right.
I was
Do
like,
it again.
what the hell?
Wait. Everybody stop. Do
Come
it
up with a
again.
different one.
Whoopity scoop.
Okay.
That was so
Freaking, I
stupid.
did scoop.
That was
Sometimes
like,
I feel-
that was like shoot
sometimes I feel
question mark. I was like,
Joshua's-
what?
Sometimes I feel
Joshua
Joshua's energy.
always wants to have the last word.